I've already seen it.
Yeah.
And I'm very disappointed.
Oh,
about
you mean
it.
you got a secret viewing of it, or you watched the trailer?
I watched the trailer.
Oh.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott.
Hello.
And from Music Video Sins, Barrett Share.
Hello, everyone.
And today, we're going to give you a small smidgen of a taste of the second round.
Yeah, like a drug dealer.
That's
We're gonna
right.
give you a taste to get you hooked.
That's right, because our main topic today will be the summer movies that are coming out. We needed to talk about that before this, March, April, May madness.
Mm-hmm.
It just consumed everything else about movies that we could talk about.
Yep.
So we definitely want to do a summer preview, but we also want to still give you a few matchups before we get into that.
Yeah,
So,
baby.
Let the games begin!
This is madness. It's madness, I tell you, for the love of God!
One shining moment, it's all on the line.
Battle Royale!
The crowd is just on its feet here. He's a Cinderella boy.
You're excited! Feel these nipples!
we're going to do number one seeds in the second round that moved on and now are facing off against inferior competitors. or are they?
We'll see.
Or are they?
We will see.
We will start with the North region. Number one seed Jaws against number 9 seed Fargo.
Oh, man.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, fuck is right.
I just watched Fargo again the other day. I've watched Fargo maybe 3 times over the last month because they've been playing it pretty heavy on Stars or something. And I keep watching it thinking I'm missing a scene at the end where somebody finds the money he buried on the side of the road. But I don't think that scene exists.
No.
No.
Like, nobody ever
Well,
finds that money.
Well, they do in the show, right?
I think so.
Because isn't that the guy goes up and he actually digs it up?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought...
There's a whole thing where he funds his entire business with that money.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Oh.
Now, yes, in the movie, it's left up. If the TV show didn't have any connection to the movie, my thing would be nobody ever finds this money.
Mhm.
Because the point of that whole thing was when he buries it, he looks one way, huge, long,
Yeah.
like nothing but fence and the same stuff. There's no markers or anything. Looks the other way, same stuff and
Yeah.
everything. Now, sure, when the snow melts and everything like that, then maybe, but he's buried it underground, I think, right?
No, it's just under the
Is
snow.
it under the snow?
Yeah. So
Well,
when the
then
snow melts, somebody will see it.
somebody then finds it.
The
then.
snow never melts in Fargo.
Oh, that's right.
The snow never melts in Fargo.
It's perpetual snow. I forgot about that.
Permafrost.
That's right.
This really is almost a Shakespearean kind of story, right?
Yeah.
In that so many people die or get caught or have downfalls at the end, right?
Mhm.
Everybody from Steve Buscemi and Peter Stormare and William H. Macy and William H. Macy's father-in-law gets shot and killed. It's just like everybody comes out a loser.
Yeah.
Except for March, I guess.
That's the good part of the stuff that the Coens can do is take an otherwise normal situation in, the middle of the Midwest and just make it so dense and so fascinating with just a few little twists and turns, and they up the stakes at each level.
Yeah, absolutely.
my
And now
stuff.
we have to match this up against
Yeah.
the
Jaws.
grand master of all movies.
Yeah. And if is there any listener out there that hasn't seen Jaws? I mean, honestly, come on.
I bet there is.
If these two movies, I mean, watch them back to back if you want to, but this is like hot and cold.
Exactly, yeah.
Jaws is warm, summery, and Fargo is cold, wintry.
Yeah.
But Jaws is a great movie because I think it's better today than it was back in 75.
Yeah.
Mainly because we've seen what summer movies are now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, there's nobody who wants to take any time anymore. Now, it's part of the audience's palate's fault.
Yeah.
That we demand these hyper, super edited and loud and, whatever movies. Jaws is so quiet, and there's some loud moments, but not like all the way through it. It's not like just like, crushing your head with, Transformers type stuff.
Yeah, this movie's been playing on the movie channels a lot lately too. And I was rewatching it a couple weeks ago maybe, but that speech that he gives about the USS Indianapolis, like when he's supposedly wasted, like his character is, you really believe he was on that ship?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I don't care how wasted he is, he acts the shit out of that monologue, and you can see it in Dreyfuss's face because they're having a lark at first. Where'd you get that scar? Where'd you get that scar? And they have all these silly accidents, and then they get to him, and he tells the story that just makes you want to die.
Yeah.
Like, and then I even went to Wikipedia and looked up the USS Indianapolis, and everything he says is true. But, he's a fictional character, but that shit really happened. They were in the water for days and days and days.
Yeah.
And like a quarter of them were eaten by sharks.
Yeah.
That's insane. Anyway, I'm really impressed with his acting in that scene because he just you feel it's real.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like what it's kind of like how Inglourious Bastards is when it's in its bar scene and everything. It's sort of like all happy and everything, and then the one little mistake sort of like flips that scene on its ear. It's kind of like this one, you said it's all sort of like drunken merriment going on. They're singing songs, all this other stuff, and then like suddenly the camera's just on Robert Shaw, and it's just kind of like slowly zooming in on him as he tells this extremely intense and story, and that's probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
And it's like we've mentioned this before when we talked about this movie on the podcast, but it's what makes that movie great, I think, is those three men out on that boat and the dynamic between them.
Yep.
And the first couple of days before we get to this overnight drinking Indianapolis story night, there's tension and but that quiet moment in the middle sells you on these characters and lulls you into a false sense of security because, basically Jaws is about to come eat the boat.
Well, because you think all these characters right off the bat, right? You think Dreyfuss is just an egghead.
Yep.
You think Roy Scheider is just this, I don't know.
He's a hero type lawman type of dude, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he is, but he's made a couple of huge mistakes, and it's basically his redemption story, but the Shaw character, you think, is just some crazy old guy with a boat, man. Yeah. He's got shark like jaws in hanging up in his cabin and all that. And you're like, yeah, whatever, man. You're just like one of those just crazy old men that's, speak up at town council meetings and everything. And then he tells that story, and you're suddenly like, oh, there's like a huge like depth to this character.
Yeah, maybe he does know more about sharks than anybody.
Yeah.
You all know me.
Yeah. Know how I make a living. Bad fish.
That when they're on the water, that's almost a whole other movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could separate those two and still be satisfied.
I don't know if we want to conversate about that satisfaction.
You could still be satisfied with either one, really, because one is like a town-centric story, and then one is this action adventure. And the fact that Spielberg can merge all of those things together, along with horror elements and along with comedy and stuff like that, that's why it shows early on how great this guy was.
Obviously, we saw this with the sequels and everything. Actually, I don't remember much about the sequels, but if that movie were made today, you would have somebody like, the go out to kill the shark scene would be like all this intense music and like them throwing like multiple harpoons down in the water.
Yeah, there'd be a gearing up scene.
There'd be a guy
guns cocking.
Exactly. They're like, let's go to the weapons room in Amity Harbor.
Rihanna would be on the boat saying boom.
Yeah, exactly. It would be like there wouldn't be that kind of character development in that. It would be all action. You're like, oh, these guys are just out there to beat the shark's ass, and that's it. And then there'll be of course several scenes where the shark comes up and grabs somebody off the boat.
Oh, yeah, man. There'll be a slow motion shot of it jumping over the boat.
Yeah, like Free Willy. Yeah. There would definitely be something like that.
Yeah.
We're
Michael
laughing
Bay's
about it, but
Jaws.
I guarantee you put that in a movie and someone's like, oh shit, that's dope. I want to see that. Anyway, Jaws versus Fargo, who's first?
That would be me.
what are we going to do?
Can't go against Jaws. I love me some Fargo. And you're right. That is a great back-to-back to see like the polar opposites. I mean, this is 4th of July in Jaws, and it's the middle of winter in Fargo. What they do have is two like dogged police people that are kind of moving the action along, and a lot of great just characters that come through here. But with Fargo, it's just a step below, just in terms of scope. And nothing against the characterizations. I told you I love me some Midwestern people, some folk, some townsfolk.
That's right.
But Jaws has got it for me.
Okay, I'm going Jaws here as well. And there's if I were to pick a bunch of movies in the last 21 years of whatever, Fargo would probably be in my top 10 somewhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
guess
it's
so.
somewhere in there. But Jaws is just going to edge it out on this one. So
It'd be funny if you made a list of the last 21 years.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Gotta get that extra.
Gotta get the extra year so that we can get that that venerable 1996 and
That was a shitty year, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah.
Oh, well, this was a number 1 seed that was not going to be challenged by this particular, what is it, an 8 seed?
It's a 9, but
9,
yeah, it's the same
Fargo is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But Jaws is fucking Jaws. And the movie that kept me out of the bathtub for weeks because I saw it just a little too young because there was a babysitter that, didn't care.
Yeah.
And my mom had real trouble getting me to take now I grew up in an era where everybody didn't have showers in their fucking house, and we took baths until I was like 14. We finally moved to a house that had a shower. Anyway,
How old were you when you watched it?
well, the house I was living in, we moved away from there when I was 11. We moved 6 to 11, so somewhere between there.
Huh.
So
I didn't see this until I was an adult.
well, and it's probably a much better way to see it because, I mean, even when we went to Florida on vacation, I would want to go in the beach,
Yeah.
like, in the water. I'd be like, I was afraid of that fucking shark. Like, if it happened there, it could happen here.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jaws wins.
Yep, Jaws moves on in that.
Jaws gobbles up Fargo.
Now we're going to go down to the East region, and it is number 1 seed Children of Men versus number 9 Rocky.
Now listen,
I'm ready to beat the fuck out of Rocky.
I am annoyed with myself. Rocky's a great movie, and I remember a lot about Rocky.
Yeah.
But there's a lot about Rocky that I remember about Rocky that is actually in Rocky 2.
Oh, really?
like him getting laid off and everything, and finishing out the day and all that stuff. Like,
Rocky and Rocky 2 are in that series the closest to each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as like how those movies were made and everything. Because Rocky 2, we're still in the 70s. Then once it gets into the 80s, we start getting that 80s excess weirdness that happens.
Hulk Hogan,
Yeah.
Mr. T.
Mr. T.
Yeah. But I really thought it's really a retelling of the exact same story because he's stripped down of everything. He's the scene that I was thinking about is when he's emptying out the spit buckets and everything. He's getting made fun of. I thought that was in the original Rocky as well, but that's in Rocky 2 because he just wants to be around it. But having said that, Rocky's still freaking awesome, man.
Yeah, it is.
I don't want to hate on Rocky. It's just that it took out the Dark Knight, which
Again, think about what this decision would be today, Children of Men versus Dark Knight.
I feel, well, for me, it would be a lot harder. What's weird to me is that a lot of the stuff that I remember from Children of Men is actually from Children of Men 2.
Oh, yeah? Or from City of God? Or City of Men?
Children of Men is just almost groundbreaking. And what I like about it the most is that it does that in multiple ways. It's not just the great one-shots and the action. It's not just a cool premise in the future. It's not just performances of people like Michael Caine and Clive Owen. It's all of it. It's all of it together. And it's just a home run. And, Rocky is cool. Rocky's, yeah, you're right. We don't have a lot of movies today if we didn't have Rocky. It sort of defined the underdog sports movie. And there's no way in fuck I'm going to vote for Rocky. And I hope you both know that right now.
Well, much like Jaws, Children of Men traffics in a lot of different genres within the same thing. It's suspense. It's sci-fi.
Action.
It's action, adventure, and that
Drama.
kind of thing. Thriller. Yeah, drama too. And it seamlessly goes back and forth between those are the best movies, man, where you can take on multiple genres and make it fit within a cohesive narrative.
Yeah, it's an intense movie. It feels like all of that happens in one day almost.
It kind of does.
Like
Yeah.
and I don't think it's very many days, but it just feels like as soon as he knows that this is as soon as he's getting on the mission and everything and whatever, that movie just keeps just going
They're always
from
on the
locale
move.
to locale,
Yeah.
locale. And that's why it's so funny for him to be like, what a day at the end of it. Maybe it was a day.
No,
I guess it's
because
not.
it shows night at the farm at least.
Right.
Yeah, they're overnight there, and then when she gives birth,
I guess it's
overnight,
just
too.
basically just all the stuff that happens, but it's still funny to me that he says that after all the stuff that you've just seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're ready to vote on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Children of Men's going to beat this one.
Mm-hmm.
I adore Rocky. I think Jeremy has some issues that he needs to work out.
I will admit to this.
I think that because there have been so many boxing movies that Rocky sort of gets watered down in comparison. But if you can think of that movie's not what boxing movies are, that those random ones that keep coming out are.
Oh, yeah.
It's
no,
not
definitely
like
not.
that at all. However, in this case, going up against Children of Men, it's just not happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Children of Men. Take that, Rocky. I'm going to shove this movie in your mouth and pour oil down it. I was watching Three Kings the
Yeah, I
other
was
day.
about to say. I was like, that sounds very...
Again, I'm only mad at Rocky because it beat Dark Knight. It's a fine movie. You will enjoy it. Go watch it. But Children of Men is just a masterpiece. It's just you will pay attention to me, film world, because this is what
That's
I can
true.
do. And it's got one of the best surprise kind of openings ever.
Yeah.
That you're not expecting, because it starts so unassuming, and then there's this big explosion out of nowhere, and immediately lets you know what kind of volatile world you're in. Children of Men, Children of Men, Children of Men. Barrett, I dare you to vote Rocky. I'll meet you outside after.
There's no way. There's no way. That ceasefire scene, of all the one-shots,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that one just kills you because it's got everything in there.
Yeah.
You sound like Stefan.
Yeah,
It has everything.
yeah.
Laughers, greasers.
Are you doing the SNL guy? New York's hottest club is.
It's a Jewish vampire. What's his name? Sidney Applebaum.
Yeah, Sidney Applebaum.
But yeah, man, no, that's such a brilliant scene. You should put that up there with just a masterclass, like up there with Kubrick, up there with anybody, Wells, Hitchcock, anybody that can do something audacious like that. Huge set piece.
Yeah.
I mean, the car thing is one thing, but just with all of these extras and all of this stuff going on, that tracking all the way down from the building.
Yeah.
Now, man. Oh, it just gives me chills. It's great. Children of Men, baby.
Yeah,
All right,
unanimity.
so Children of Men moves on. And I just realized we picked the 9 seed in those 8-9 battles every single time.
Oh, a bit of an upset.
So now we go on to the South region where it's number 1, Schindler's List,
Oh boy.
versus number 9, Gravity.
Well, and
really
I think I can speak for all the listeners and Chris when I say it's time for Gravity to have a beatdown, right?
Yeah,
Because that took out Raiders of the
it
Lost Ark.
did.
There
It would
has
have been Spielberg versus Spielberg again in this bracket
Mm-hmm.
because we already done that.
And I actually think that would have been a harder choice, even though I didn't vote Raiders through. Jesus, Schindler's List versus Well, they're so similar. They're both trying to say the same thing.
They are pretty much when it comes down to
I
it.
just saw the Seinfeld yesterday with Schindler's List.
Oh, yeah.
Jerry makes out in the movie and comes home. His parents are like, "Dude, what did you think of the movie?" He was like, "Oh yeah, it's good." His mom's like, "And the list? What did you think of the list?" And he was like, "That was some list."
And then there's the Judge Reinhold character who acts like Schindler in it and everything.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Oh man. Well, we don't need to vote. I think Gravity's fantastic. I still think we took a little too much hell, Barrett, for picking Gravity.
I got a real problem with people who say that Gravity doesn't have any story, though. They're just like, oh, well, this is just an effects-driven thing that has no central narrative. No, man, this is a survival story.
Yeah.
Which I think is compelling in any format, but particularly terrifying. You can put First Blood, in the Pacific Northwest and all that stuff, in a survival epic, and you can be out in the desert, or you could be up on Everest. But nobody knows what it's like to be in space,
right?
Except for a select few
people. And she's
people.
not an astronaut. She's a doctor. She's certainly trained for this mission, but you would think Clooney's character has a little bit better understanding of what he's getting into than she does.
Yeah.
And she's left all alone to deal with space.
Yeah, and thank God it would have been a much worse movie, or a much less impactful movie, if it were Clooney going through this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Than if it were her, because you're able to relate to her, even though Clooney's character is great. And, Matt Kowalski is this, this kind of calm Superman type of dude. But you relate to Ryan Stone. Like, she is our proxy, but she's a smart one. And I think that's a great story.
Yeah, she's driven by a daughter who has died. I think that is kind of a cliche in movies, but it does
serve a purpose.
It does serve a purpose, and it does allow you to understand how driven she is to get back and everything like that. So I do like that point. The story, I mean, you know what they mean by no story, though. It's not that there's no story. It's just that it's very spare.
But a movie doesn't have to have. Again, a movie that is trying to terrify you and give you a thrill ride doesn't necessarily have to have a lot of story.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah. It would have been stupid if an alien showed up, or some sort of like plot changing type of thing happened right.
Alien George Clooney.
Right.
But I could say this by the same token, Logan doesn't have a story because it's just basically a chase movie. But I think that's an easy critique to make when you didn't like a movie, but you can't find something substantive to say. And I also, without calling them out by name, I got an email from one previous podcast guest who said Gravity was the correct pick over Raiders, and congratulated Barrett and I for making that pick.
Oh, I know who fucking said that.
I bet you do, but I'm not going to call him out.
Fucking asshole.
I have a feeling it was not Jeremy Simpson.
No, it was not. It was not. I already know who the fuck that was just by what he said. All right, what's the order like it matters?
Yeah, it's Jeremy first.
Schindler, baby, Schindler. What about the list? The list. That was some list.
Yep.
I believe it's possible Schindler's List will come up against a movie that makes it really hard for me to call. It just hasn't happened yet. And I'm one of the champions of Gravity, but there's nothing that Gravity has to offer or say that resonates like what Schindler's List has to offer and say. This is a movie that'll make you lose sleep.
Yeah.
If you lose sleep due to Gravity, it's because you just probably have nightmares or you're on Chantix or something. But this movie hits your heart, your soul, your brain, and makes you wonder how could humanity have ever done this?
By the way, I'm glad that you didn't go through your normal list of things that hits when you go through that hit list where you say penis.
Yeah, it's not the movie for that.
Right.
Yeah, gotta break that out on a different film.
Yeah.
This is an achievement. It's Schindler's List all the way.
Yep. Sorry, Gravity.
Yep. To me, it's not the work. It's not the work. It's the presentation. So Schindler's List moves on. That was an easy one.
Yeah.
Sweet 16.
That's kind of why we're doing this, though. It's, it's the easier ones we can get out of the way so we can really dive into the other ones that are going to be harder.
Regardless, it'll have a tough matchup. The next one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right, so then our final one is in the West region, the number 1 seed, Back to the Future versus number 9, Whiplash.
Wow.
Okay. Whiplash was the last one that we did.
That's
in
right.
The first round.
That's right. So these are two movies that, again, this might be the hardest one out of the whole group that we're doing today. But I mean, this is another one of those weird ones, right? You would never have to decide between Back to the Future or Whiplash,
right? And even putting the two Blu-rays side by side and choosing which one to watch, it's going to be based on my mood because they offer me completely different experiences. And we just recently talked. I think we did it last week, right?
Yeah, we did.
So Whiplash is fantastic. and it has a great roller coaster ending that you don't see coming unless you've listened to this podcast before you watch it. Great performances. I was a piano student from age 11 to, 20 or so. I took piano lessons, went to a piano camp one summer. At Ball State University.
Nice. How was that?
Talk about nerding out. Oh, God, I was like the least awkward person there.
You did it for the chicks, right?
Well, there were chicks there.
Yeah.
They were all better piano players than me.
Yeah, they
It's
were.
funny because I brought this like Für Elise or some cheesy ass Beethoven for beginners, and I'm at this camp, and this girl sits down and she plays like the hardest Chopin piece to play ever, and nails it, and I'm just like, fuck me. Anyway, yeah, that was what I was playing. So I say all that to say I feel like I understand to a small extent how much obsession can play a part in ambitious musicians or conductors or what have you, and these two men are both driven by almost the same thing, I think. And they I just love watching this movie.
There's a chance, I guess, you could say that Miles Teller could grow up to be like a J.K. Simmons
I think that's
type.
a very good point. Yes,
He's got that kind of heartless streak in him.
Well, yeah, you were talking about how he just ditches his girlfriend. I don't need you
And-
anymore, babe.
And people who are like that don't like to be told that they're doing anything wrong either.
Yeah.
I mean, that's sort of the friction that you get between these two guys. I mean, Miles Teller believes he's just doing everything he's supposed to do, and everything's just a little off to J.K. Simmons and this and everything. But yeah, man, you see how they try to get one over each other on these things. Like Miles Teller ends up like getting this guy fired, and he comes back and does this long con basically to say, all right, let's work together and all this bullshit. And then even after all that, Miles Teller comes back and says, you know what? No, I'm not leaving this stage unless you get guards to come out and
Yeah, it is a long con, but it's an accidental one. Because if he doesn't go into the jazz club, which I think is like on his last night of performing, then none of the last part of it ever happened.
Yeah, but from that point on, it's a long con.
Yeah.
And he just basically leaves out one song and all the materials this guy has to prepare. One thing that I do always wonder is why Miles Teller keeps trying to play that first song as long as he does.
Oh, yeah.
Because you'd think you'd come to a point after 15 seconds and just go, this is going to be better if I just stop and let the people who know the tempo play because I'm fucking it up. But he tries for a really long time to pick it up, and it's really cringy. It's very hard to watch.
Yeah.
And now we have Back to the Future.
Yeah, I know.
Mayor Goldie Wilson.
Right. If you were talking about if this was a sort of a contest on sincerity, I don't know. Whiplash. I don't know. Back to the Future has enough sincerity in it.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if it was a battle between that or whatever, then you'd have Whiplash would probably have a better chance than this. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the Future is Back to the Future. It's I know that sounds really stupid. That I would say something like that, but it is. It's such a big movie.
It's an institution.
It's such a big movie, and it's a big movie for a reason. It's not, it's not like we have this number one for no reason, What I mean?
Well, and they're going to remake that or go back to that world soon, right?
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
With Emma Stone as Marty McFly.
That's right.
Well, if they do that, we better get some royalty checks for this thing.
I know.
Exactly.
No kidding.
Anyway, that's my point is it's such a great world and story and universe, and there is much potential there. If I'm a Hollywood studio guy, it's been 32 years.
Mm-hmm.
Let's crank that shit back out. Give Michael J. Fox some kind of cameo.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. I'm not saying I'll like it. I'm not saying I want it. I'm just predicting it.
Yeah, this was I don't know. Is this a movie that ever needed a sequel?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, obviously, for the money reasons, you're going to make sequels.
well, and
to
then
this.
the sign off, the roads where we're going, we don't need roads, begs for
Yeah.
the continuation.
It does.
They are so inferior to me in
me
every
too.
way.
Same thing.
Man, I love the second one. I think that second one is clever as fuck.
Really?
Yes, like the going to the future and then the past is fucked up, so to go all the way back and there's two thems in 1950. I eat that shit up.
Mm-hmm.
But the third one is the one where I'm kind of like all the Mary Steenburgen and stuff and the Jules Verne talk. I don't really care about Doc falling in love.
Now, I do think you're in the minority on the sequels there.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think most people like 3 better, but yeah, I mean, 2 is good because of what you're saying there. But when we recently watched that to Senate,
Yeah.
I was like, man, this movie is, it's so not very good at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was, because there's a point where, and they film those simultaneously.
Yeah.
There's a point where you see like all the self-awareness of, what's going on from the first one and everything. You can't recreate that magic. It's kind of like Groundhog Day, where Bill Murray he tries to get that spontaneous attraction with Andy McDowell
After he's done it in
after
the
he's
snow
done
and all
it.
that. Yeah.
And there's the part where they fall and they don't fall just the right way, and then he starts creepily trying to jump. It's that's what Back to the Future 2 and 3 are to me.
Yeah. That's
They're
true.
Bill Murray and Groundhog Day.
Oh, there's a couple of kids that are throwing snowballs at us. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like that.
I want to have a lot of kids.
Yeah.
I like to drink to world peace.
Yeah. So that's how those come off to me, and they've got their charms, but it's just I feel like that first one has the perfect story for what they're trying to do with it, and it's a great movie. Anyway, what's the order on this?
It's me first.
Yep.
So if you put these 2 movies in front of me, I would pick Whiplash 98 times out of 100.
Wow.
So I'm going to vote for Whiplash.
Wow.
I really think, and my La La Land prediction of it becoming a classic in 20 years, notwithstanding, maybe I'm not right about that, I almost guarantee that Whiplash will. It's something that, as you've seen us like now twice or 3 times tease this movie apart, there's so much to it, even though it's an insular story, which is definitely the total opposite of Back to the Future. But I think it's just got more, I don't know. It just connects to me more. I love me some Back to the Future.
You motherfucker.
I know. Chris?
Obviously, it's Back to the Future. And you know what? Whiplash might be considered a classic 20 years from now, but it might be considered a classic in the way Taxi Driver is considered a classic, where you have a faction of people, of movie lovers who love that movie, but not a lot of the like main public who really like that movie.
Yeah.
Like a sleeper classic.
Yeah. Kind of, I guess, if you could really call it that.
Sleepers?
Like you can't. You wouldn't be able to. Well, there's a Woody Allen movie called Sleeper too.
Yes,
so
there is.
You have to distinguish. But Taxi Driver is not a movie that you would go up to, your mom or dad and say, "You really need to watch Taxi Driver." Yeah.
My dad would be like, "Is that the one with Sybil Shepherd?"
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it has Sybil Shepherd.
I don't know why he
From
talks like a
Chances
New
Are.
York guy.
Yeah, your dad's weird.
Is that the? It's got Sybil Shepherd in it.
It's all that Seinfeld talk about.
It's like
Junior's
Rob
dad.
Reiner from Wolf of Wall Street.
If we're doing the, this is what I would almost call arbitration in a way. Like, you know how teams and players hate going to arbitration because they're two entities that still want to be together, basically.
Yeah.
But the team has to say a whole bunch of negative stuff about that player in order to pay less money.
Yeah.
And I feel like the same thing with this movie. Like Whiplash, if there was any, like, it's almost one note as far as what it's
Pardon the pun.
exactly, as far as what his presentation is. It's very just like in your face about being perfect, and it's great. It's exhilarating. But Back to the Future has so many other highs and lows and everything, and overall excitement and everything. I don't know how I would pick Whiplash over this one in any instance.
Did you know the original title of Whiplash was Drums? What are they good for?
Yep. That is a little known fact.
This whole podcast brought to you by Seinfeld quotes.
So I love chaos. And if I were to pick Whiplash, there would be chaos beyond gravity-beating Raiders. I'm picking Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to make the right pick here. But I do want to admit at least 10% of me wants to pick Whiplash just to see what happens. And that's not the spirit of this bracket, so I can't actually do that. And Whiplash is fantastic. It's just, like you said, it may be a classic in 20 years. I know it already has a section of devoted fans today. But Back to the Future is already a classic. It has been since essentially the day it came out. And there's no way. It's regal. It's royal.
Now, I do want to make sure of something here and know that I would have been crushed beyond belief if you had picked Whiplash. But if you really think Whiplash is better, you need to vote for that.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So
I didn't feel great about it, but Whiplash to me, in my head, if it had gotten past this, had a chance of going all the way.
Yeah, it could have.
In my mind,
really
because
like that movie.
Because it matches up so well. I love me some. I guess I get attached to these directors. Damien Chazelle just fucking hits me right in all of the erogenous
I will say that very ending scene, the drumming on the very ending scene, is the most intense thing that you'll see. It's more intense than anything that's in Back to the Future. It's it might even be better than any one scene that's in Back to the Future. But that's just the one scene, and everything else is more about J.K. Simmons yelling at him and everything. So once again, we're being reductive to a really great
arbitration.
To being a really great movie there. But anyway, I guess there's no surprise here that the number one seeds all moved on. But that's sort of why I wanted to do it. We get those out of the way, and we still do our thing, and you guys are still sated about that type of thing.
Yeah, and tougher matchups lie ahead for those one seeds.
That's right. That's correct. Okay, so now we're going to go on to our summer preview.
So we're saving the galaxy again?
Yep.
Awesome!
I think that Will and I should be the only ones to go outside for a while.
Forget the flying monster guy. There are people who handle this sort of thing.
I'm sick of him treating me like a kid all the time.
I'm gonna need you behind the wheel again.
One more job and I'm done.
One more job, and we're straight.
Apes together, strong.
Why do your balls sound like 3-year-old girls?
I don't know, man. That's just how they talk. But they're wise.
And this is where we're going to start here. We're going to start late April or early May?
Let's go late April.
Late April?
Yeah.
Okay. So
late April.
So obviously by the time this comes out, The Fate of the Furious will have already been out, right? So that's probably already made its like $140 million on its opening weekend because nobody can get get enough of that bullshit.
Fuck that movie with a scaly pole. Fuck it in the face. Fuck it in the ear. Fuck it in the armpit too.
I think it's going to be, when this comes out, it will have made exactly $140 million.
Yeah,
this will be like, something like
yeah.
I mean, it's going to, I don't know, it's going to make a shit ton of money. They're going to announce Fast 9, 10, and 11 sometime before the calendar year is out. And I'm glad there are so many people entertained by these movies. I like that my fellow humans are getting joy. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I'm never going to get it. These movies annoy the shit out of me.
Yeah.
You're never going to get it.
They're pretty awful. But I guess that they're the one big one that's coming out in April is The Circle.
Yeah.
After that. That's the one that's just before May on April 28th.
I can't figure that movie out.
I can't either.
What? It feels like Antitrust. Did you see that Ryan Phillippe movie?
Yeah.
It feels like that.
Yeah, it kind of does. But this is, it's essentially Apple, right? Because Apple just recently built a thing that's a circle, right, as their headquarters.
I think so.
They have
it's
a big,
like
huge circular.
Apple, Google. I mean,
this
all
is
those
essentially
things.
Apple, whatever. But yeah, it's one of those type of movies where it's like, electronic intrigue.
Yeah, well, it's very hard to film.
It seems like it's got big ideas. Like it's got probably like a pretty generic storyline of like, spying, like Eagle Eye or something like that, or Enemy of the State. But it's got engaging leads, John Boyega, Emma Watson, and Tom Hanks. And it's got this whole privacy bent. Of course, not having seen it, we don't really know how they're going to play that out. But I like that idea because that's, as a society, where we're going right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to make a prediction. Flaming turd.
Oh, yeah?
Now, I may be wrong, but it has all the markings to me of a flaming turd.
Yeah.
FYI.
Yeah, I agree. Now, it's interesting. I don't know if there's any sort of I don't know, quantifiable sort of study that you can do with this, but this is Emma Watson right after this big huge Beauty and the Beast will still be going on when this movie comes out.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's ever been a big like buoy to any new movie that comes out. Like, just because, I mean, it always seems like these movies come out like, well, we're not too sure. We'll try to get that, ride some of that Emma Watson wave or whatever. Like a month or so. It's happened
has that ever?
It seems like that second movie is always so inferior that that people just ignore it.
Well, and I don't think there's much of a draw there anyway. I mean, it's not like Emma Watson was an unknown before Beauty and the Beast came out. There may be some little girls who went to see this Beauty and the Beast and are now Emma Watson fans that weren't before, but that's a very small number.
Well, these 6 and 7 year old girls aren't going to go be watching The Circle.
Well, right, and I don't even think. I like Emma Watson a lot. I really do. But I don't think she's any part of the reason why that movie's done well. I think there are a couple dozen actresses you could have put in that role and it would have made the exact same amount of money.
Yeah, that's true.
And I like her a lot. But yeah, The Circle looks like I'm staying away. April, I guess I'm not going to the movies in April.
What about this makes you think it's a flaming turd?
Because it makes me feel like an antitrust.
No.
It gives me shades of antitrust. That was a flaming turd.
Yes, it was.
The only saving grace was Claire Forlani was in it.
Yes.
And she's attractive.
Mm-hmm. Yes, she is.
What do we got early May?
Well, I mean, and there's one other late April, and it's called Slight, which is the magic. It's like Chronicle with magic.
Now You See Me.
And Now You See Me or whatever. But there's some review that goes up in the trailer that's like, it's like Chronicle meets Iron Man, which I think is a weird combination. There's nothing Iron Man.
Powers meets super.
Yeah, superpowers meets superpowers. I don't understand that at all, but it looks like Chronicle.
Is it found footage?
No, it looks like Chronicle with like Boys in the Hood almost.
Interesting.
Because it's like this sort of like I don't know, it feels like there's some sort of street crime type of thing going on, and this guy actually knows magic, and you think it's he just knows like what the Burt Wonderstone magic is or whatever, but like he actually has powers, like real magic powers or whatever. So sort of weird genre crossing type of thing. I don't know, it probably won't be a big hit or anything, but you might get some people who are like, that's a pretty good movie or whatever. But I think it was worth mentioning just because it kind of looks interesting. Anyway, early May. So it's the annual Marvel first week of May movie. This time it's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Interesting, because the first one was a late summer release.
It was. It came out in August.
Spider-Mans have typically been May.
Yeah, but the cock of the walk right now is Marvel Disney.
Yeah,
and they've got everything reserved all the way up until 2020 right now.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man isn't what Spider-Man used to be.
Sure.
Like, it's been going on that Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man 2 where it's had mixed results and probably more negative results than anything. And so it's not the property. It can't go out and reserve that.
Well, and I guess Guardians was a late summer release because they weren't sure. And then once it was a mammoth hit, now they're going to move it up to early May where the big powerhouses go. I'm actually pretty pumped for this movie. I stopped watching trailers after the second one. The first one sold me. The second one, I have a feeling this could just be really fun. It might be even more fun than the first one. And I like the first one a lot. I'm not one of those people who worship it or fell in love with it. But now that we've sort of set up this universe and these characters and their relationships, I'm starting to have a feeling that maybe James Gunn has hit it out of the park with this follow-up. I would love for that to be the case.
As long as they keep having fun. And what the trailers indicate is that they're not, this everything is fallen. Yeah. Forget everything that you think you know. Yeah. They're still having fun with it.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, I can dig it. I can get down with that.
Yeah, absolutely. This looks fun to me. I saw a trailer. I don't know if you've seen this one. There's there's always like 7 or 8 different things that go on with these movies. But I saw some trailer this morning, and I saw a lot of the fun, but I also saw a lot of stuff that made me go, I don't know about this. because Marvel's Marvel, and Marvel wants to put a lot of their like branding in these things.
Well, and the Guardians are going to take part in this Infinity War, so there's going to be some ground laying.
While there is fun being had, there's so many things in that trailer that are just kind of like, okay, I think I can deal with some of this stuff, but you're creeping onto this area that the first one was sort of like, it's sort of anti-Marvel stuff in that one. It kind of looked the part, but it seemed so different from that. This one fits really snugly in the Marvel universe, and may not be a good thing because of the way the color palette is and the way they, a lot of the little shots in there. I was like, I don't know, but yes, there is a lot of fun in this, and I think I'll be there to watch it. It's going to be one of those movies. I'm not steered away from it.
That's probably the next one I'll see.
It's one of the only blockbusters that you can look at on this schedule and say like, all right, feel good about that.
There's not a lot to be confident about. Not yet.
Yeah. So, and then, you also have the same thing we just talked about with Back to the Future a minute ago. You made your first one without knowing it was going to be a success. It's a certain way, and now you're aware of it. And can they cut out the self-awareness?
Yeah.
Because that can be a drag a lot of times.
I will say, if we get any more Howard the Duck, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah. The following week, we have Guy Ritchie's King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, which looks like another boring...
That looks awful.
Looks like another boring-ass swords and sandals bullshit movie.
It's like they're trying to Game of Thrones-ify everything.
Yeah.
Like, even that Emerald City TV show about Wizard of Oz looked like Game of Thrones. This looks like Game of Thrones. And I'm just like, okay, we're now doing this thing we did 15 years ago with Lord of the Rings, where everything that came out had to have some kind of fantasy element or hoods or staffs or something.
Yes, there's an enormous goddamn elephant in this trailer.
Yes, there is.
And elephants, I don't believe, have ever been native to the UK or Europe.
Especially ones that are 500 feet tall.
Yeah, I do not understand how this happens, because once upon a time, Guy Ritchie was like one to watch.
Yep.
Right? After Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch, you were like, well, this guy's got something. And, the Sherlock Holmes movies have their defenders and fans. I'm not a super big fan.
Swept Away.
Swept Away has that one fan named Madonna.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was in the car with my wife the other day, tangent, and Like a Prayer came on by Madonna. And my wife is about 8 years younger than me. And so there's a lot of like my pop culture references that fall on deaf ears with her. And I was trying to explain to her, this was like super controversial when this song came out.
Oh yeah.
And now it's no big deal. We just listened. But when Like a Virgin came out, or Like a Prayer came out, or Like a Virgin, it was scandalous.
Yeah, man.
Madonna was a scandalous
that video.
Yeah, dude, seriously.
One of the first ones we ever did for Music Video Sins.
right.
All three of us were on.
There's like a wax black Jesus.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
Man
anyway,
of
wax is made of wax.
Yeah.
Guy Ritchie is a guy that I would rather see get back into quirky crime capers, because everything that he's tried outside of that has, and I don't even see him when I see the trailer for this movie. So, and I'm, like I said in the last podcast, huge King Arthur geek. Can't get it up for this movie at all.
No.
Yeah. This is, it just looks like another random thing.
What's funny about this trailer is Jude Law is like, where does he get his drive?
Yeah.
And you see Charlie Hunnam doing like this flash dance thing, like shirtless, just like running in place and going, ah! Yeah. Like that's how apparently he gets.
Oh, so he does that.
He does.
I'm going to try that later.
Also on the 12th, just mentioning, because Amy Schumer is coming out with another comedy, but that one doesn't look good either.
I don't know what she's thinking here.
Yeah.
Well, and surprise, surprise, it's got a double entendre of a title.
Right.
Snatched.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, she had a stand-up special hit Netflix a couple weeks ago, and according to Reddit, like, everybody hated it.
It's awful.
Really?
It's
like,
hideous.
Is it?
It's just like, there's apparently a moment where she just says, my pussy smells like farts or something.
No, it smells like a farm animal.
A farm animal.
Yes.
Yeah. See, that's not comedy. Just being crass.
That special was incredibly disappointing. Like I didn't crack a smile one time. And I love Amy Schumer. She's got
I like
great
Trainwreck
stuff
a lot.
Yeah, I really like Trainwreck. She was talking about Trainwreck during this special, and it was like, man, it's like a copy of a copy almost.
Yeah, there's something about when a stand-up comic starts talking about their success outside. It's kind of like when rappers become successful, and
Yep.
it's no longer about like the cool stuff they used to do. It's about like, you know, why, you know, pools and women and stuff. That's all they want to say. But like, when a stand-up comic starts talking about all the like stuff they're into, you're like, this isn't why we come to see a stand-up comedy show. You have observations about real life that we can all, you know, relate to. That's what stand-up comedy is about, not about your success with Trainwreck and hanging out with Jennifer Lawrence and stuff like that. It's just, you know, it's
the only one that can get away with that is Louis C.K. because he's got such a dour perspective where he's like, I think it was in his last special, he was like, I'm not like you. Yeah. I'm like, I have what you have, but like 100% better.
Everything I do is like 10 times better than what you're doing.
So is it Goldie Hawn in this with her?
Goldie Hawn is in this.
Do we know what this is about?
They're on some sort of trip and
they get abducted.
Yeah, they get abducted. It's kind of like Taken or something like that, I guess.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
But comedy.
Yeah.
And because kidnapping is hilarious.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome fun.
But like but no, like I thought this would probably make the same amount of money too. I thought this was a perfect opportunity to get Kate Hudson and Goldie Hawn together. That would have been great.
Probably make the same amount.
I mean, truthfully, this is
you're not wrong.
Yeah. Okay, so on the 19th we have that Alien Covenant movie.
Oh man,
Couples Retreat for Aliens.
Man,
you down on it, eh?
God damn it.
It looks terrible.
Don't you want it to be good, though?
All right.
I like that cast a lot. I like Danny McBride in an Alien movie for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe there's if you play up the humorous elements of it, sure. But what is humorous about the Alien franchise?
No, I don't. I just like the idea of somebody you know from comedy being. I don't think he's going to quip a bunch of one-liners. I think it's like an action sci-fi role for him. Isn't James Franco in this too? I think James Franco's in this.
Not sure.
The problem with the Alien movies, and I think I may have mentioned this when we talked about Aliens, is the cat's out of the bag. Like, now all you want to see is just more and more and more aliens and different types of aliens and shit like that. When the whole reason that the first two really worked is that it wasn't this glut of aliens, and even when there were, it wasn't like this super intense 360, perspective of them. It was that they were scary and that they were, hidden. Mm-hmm. And now it's just like, oh, we're out here, and like the end of Prometheus with that fucking little alien thing that, oh my God.
Yeah, the money shot of this trailer is the alien jumping on the ship flying away. And I'm like, okay, so that's way up in your face with the alien and everything, but he's done this before. He's he's jumped on the ship 100 times in this franchise. It's no more, it's not scarier now just because you have better effects and everything like that. This looks just like
I don't know what's going to happen here because Ridley has said publicly he's got like 3 more stories planned out already, and he's ready to go next year on another one. And it's just mentioned this before, but Ridley Scott has gotten to a place in his career where he's just not reliably great, because we had Prometheus, not good. And then we had The Martian, which even if you're not obsessed with it like I am, generally everybody liked that movie. Mm-hmm. Which Ridley are we going to get here? Yeah. And is this a case of like a Lucas thing, like where maybe somebody's a little more obsessed with their own property than the general audience is? Like, I wonder how many ripples this movie will even make after Prometheus and so much disconnect from the last time Aliens were good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this looks like it's DOA, man. Yeah. I really don't think this is going to do anything.
Was Prometheus a big hit?
It made money, but not a bunch.
It did okay.
It wasn't a huge hit, though.
Yeah,
was it?
The trailers for Prometheus were amazing.
Yes, they were.
And I remember it being a fair disappointment when it came out as far as box office. Now, they probably already got it's probably people getting the word about how the movie was, but it didn't quite hit like they were hoping.
Yeah.
And so they still continued forward because it made a little bit of money, but...
Yeah,
this is just not the way you do it, man.
Maybe what happened was Ridley made The Martian and made so much money he was able to turn to somebody and go, now let me do another Alien.
Yeah, are you kidding me? Man, Ridley Scott probably has as much money as James Cameron
you're probably
does
right.
now.
He probably fund his
How many
own.
times Scott Free is on something that has been done?
Yeah.
I mean, that guy is definitely like he could have probably funded this himself.
Here, I got that. Let me reach in my wallet.
For the Memorial Day weekend, we have the big one is Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales.
Ooh,
That
fuck it.
also looks freaking awful.
Man,
Yeah,
come
no,
on.
no reason for it. I don't care that Orlando Bloom is back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a draw.
Yeah,
Fuck you, movie.
right, exactly.
I'm out. And I'm hoping the general public, like I think you said, the last one didn't do very well here in the U.S., but made a lot of money overseas.
Still made a lot of money overseas.
Same thing's going to happen here.
Same thing here. I think this does almost a tank job here.
Yeah.
Almost tanks.
I hope so.
I think it's going to be awful. Like it's barely going to be above water, or if even get its head above water here in the States. But then it'll somehow salvage it.
I think the less said about the Pirates movie, the better.
Yeah.
What else do we got?
Well, what I do want to say about the Pirates movie is what I was telling Barrett when earlier today was that all the backstory that they always bring up in these things, where Jack Sparrow did this and that and that whatever to me, is a much better movie than the one that they show.
Yeah.
Why don't you just show that movie where Jack Sparrow did something? In fact, they have some dude who some graphic sprite that looks just like Johnny Depp or whatever playing Jack Sparrow like in the early days.
Oh, really?
Lovely.
And why don't they just go ahead and do that?
The young Jack Sparrow.
Of course, they don't have
Chronicles.
Johnny Depp anymore.
Yeah,
but
well,
then
that's
Johnny Depp isn't exactly the draw he was anymore either.
He kind of took a hit with the personal life stuff over the last year.
He
I
did.
wonder if you did like a young Jack Sparrow movie.
Mm-hmm.
I would consider watching that.
Yeah.
Like with an up and coming actor and everything. You've still got the backing of the Pirates franchise, and you could really start fresh. Not that I'm encouraging this a reboot or anything like that, but I think it'd be much more interesting than continuing this fucking Jack Sparrow's now in his 50s. Let's see what happens.
Well, you don't have to encourage it. They're going to do it someday.
Mm.
But yeah, I think that a younger Jack Sparrow would be way funner movie.
Mm.
At this point, anyway. Also coming out on that Memorial Day weekend is Baywatch, which is the trailers. Am I wrong for saying they look kind of funny?
Yeah, I agree.
It's just, this is going to be like 21 Jump Street. Until I see it and can confirm for myself that it's funny, I'm not going to believe it. Because this is just, it has all, other than the trailer, everything about this should scream shitty.
Yeah, that's true.
And if they somehow made it good, because I remember thinking that about 21 Jump Street. Oh, it's going to be a comedy?
Mm-hmm.
An action comedy? And then I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll reserve judgment, but I have no optimism right
There's
now.
just almost no way to make these movies. If you're wanting to do this as a studio and you've got a property that, has a name that you can sell out there, there's almost no way to do these straight up.
Mm-hmm.
They end up being just super terrible. So you have to make them jokey like this. The same thing happened with this Chips movie.
Yeah.
Earlier on, where they made, I didn't watch this movie, by the way, but I heard Dak Shepard talking about it, and he said this is pretty much straight up from the TV show, with just more action in it or whatever. It's not like some
and an
joke.
R rating. I guess.
It's not some jokey ha ha ha. Remember the show back then? It was so cheesy type of presentation. It's more straight up.
Well, even though it's got terrible reviews.
Yeah, and it's got terrible reviews.
So I feel like it could go either way. The trailer was funny, but trailer for Father's Day was funny too.
This is the same guy, the director that did Horrible Bosses and the King of Kong. So
I trust that guy.
Yeah,
but
I mean, you never know. You never know with these things.
Yeah, you never know.
It's a little more encouraging than you would think for a Baywatch movie.
Yeah, I mean, when they announced that they were making one, I did roll my eyes a bit, but. How does The Rock do all these movies, by the way?
And the TV
show.
And
the TV show, and he's doing that documentary thing on HBO as well. How does he do all that?
What is he?
Does he have a time turner? What?
Is he still doing Ballers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He's still doing Ballers, and he still comes out with 15 movies a year.
Yeah. And he's still producing a bunch of web shows on YouTube. He's got a YouTube thing now.
Really?
Yeah. He's got some kind of workout reality show that he's doing on YouTube. Yeah, he's a busy motherfucker.
Yeah.
He's busier than Eric Roberts.
He is.
And that's saying something.
That is saying something. Because Eric Roberts made 40 movies while we were just talking.
That's like my joke I made last night on Twitter about where Michael Bay said there are 14 more Transformers movies stories already written.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, in the 3 minutes since this tweet, I also have written 14 Transformers scripts.
Going on into June, the big one opening in the first week of June is Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I got a lot of trepidatiousness.
This is fucking Captain America, the first Avenger.
It really is.
It's the same movie.
It is, and only probably less fun and less colorful.
Mm-hmm.
I like Chris Pine. He alone can probably get me to watch this thing because I have grown to really appreciate him as an actor. But yeah, I have no interest in this story at all. Zero.
Same here, man. I saw this. I saw this trailer recently, and I just was like, "There's nothing that moves the needle for me here. Nothing."
You were right on with the Captain America, but also throw in Thor, because that whole Athena land where they give me like Asgard vibes.
Yeah, and
so it's basically Thor meets Captain America, the first Avenger in the DC world with a woman.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know if I'll watch this in the theater or not.
You know, I mean, people said that she was one of the best parts of Batman versus Superman, which is probably true. But she was in very, very little of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you can stay away from that movie and just kind of like say, oh, no, I'm cool. I open emails that show other superheroes and then get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
I guess that.
I still think Gal Gadot is really cute, though. She's really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's, I wouldn't kick her out of bed for eating crackers.
She's really cute.
Or Chris Pine.
I just may not see her movie.
Yeah.
There's also another somewhat superhero animated movie coming out called Captain Underpants.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
You probably know more about this than I do.
Well, I know it's a known property. My kid hasn't been into it, but watching the trailer, I kind of am interested in this.
Yeah. So,
it's DreamWorks.
Yeah, it's DreamWorks,
but it's a
with
different
Fox.
style. Yeah,
like Fox is distributing it, but I think it is DreamWorks Animation.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you have two kids who, a la Weird Science, basically.
Weird Science.
Yes, turn their principal into this superhero called Captain Underpants, and he is absolutely the dumbest person alive. And so, like, it's basically them running after this guy. He keeps getting into all
like
this
if
trouble.
Mr. Bean had superpowers.
Yeah, almost.
Kind of.
But he doesn't actually have superpowers.
Although, he doesn't?
He just believes that he does.
Yeah.
I would actually like to watch Mr. Bean with superpowers type movie. There's your elevator pitch.
Yeah, there you go.
But that looks mildly interesting. I don't think I'll go to the theater to watch it, but yeah, it looks kind of interesting. The following week on June 9th, the reboot of The Mummy comes out.
Boy, this looks terrible.
Yes, it does.
I cannot believe. I really think Tom Cruise needs a talking to because of late his choices have been very good.
Yeah.
The last 2 Mission Impossible movies were good. I enjoyed the Jack Reacher movies, even though some of you in the room didn't. But he's usually reliable at picking decent projects, and this just looks like a CGI fucking mess.
Yeah.
And it made me want to watch the Brendan Fraser version because that was fun.
It's Tom Cruise Apocalypse, right?
Yeah, it almost looked like War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
I don't have any interest in this at all.
Yeah, me either. And it's hard to sort of distinguish. Like, I guess the mummy in this is actually a female this time, which is sort of a different kind of thing. If there was anything about this, remember last summer it was little boys in the jungle running after animals?
And you were right.
I was right, because there were 50 movies that came out that were all about that. This summer is about the ladies, man. Ladies kicking ass and ladies partying and there's a million of that type of thing here. And it's like here, the mummy we've always sort of grown to believe is a Boris Karloff type and everything. This time it's a female doing it, but
if I'm Universal, I would be nervous.
But
because
this doesn't look good.
They want this. This is supposed to open up a cinematic universe for them, so they can get into the Frankenstein and all the old classic Universal monsters. They want to do like a shared universe of that.
Oh my god!
And Tom Cruise is a big enough star, and again, this unpredictable overseas audience may flock to this thing. But I was getting War of the Worlds meets Clash of the Titans vibes, and I just don't want to watch that. It doesn't look fun at all.
When I start thinking of Suicide Squad and X-Men Apocalypse when I watch a movie, then it's bad. It's I'm sorry, you've done something wrong.
Yeah.
You fucked up. You done fucked up.
You done fucked up.
Plus, the teaser trailer looks like a Mission Impossible movie, basically. He's in the plane, and he's got that stoic look and everything. And then, I don't know. Come on.
This falls flat. There's a horror movie, by the way, that's certain to have lots of sex jokes about it. It Comes at Night.
Oh, I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
This is A24, and this is Joel Edgerton.
A24, he's directing?
He's in it. He's the star.
A24 has just stealthily become one of the most reliable outfits around, right? They did Arrival, Ex Machina.
Yep.
So yeah, their name alone is almost to what Pixar was about 10 years ago, that you might sign up just because of the studio.
Yeah.
What do we think this movie's about, though? Because the trailer I've seen 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, there's a scary dude in a mask, and there's a repeated phrase over and over again. But what is this? Is this sort of like a Strangers type movie where people are coming to a house?
It looks more like a zombie movie to me.
Zombie movie?
I read a brief description where he's trying to keep some sort of nuclear family together.
Oh yeah,
and that there's some sort of threat from the outside. So I don't know if it's like a virus thing. I love that I don't know what the hell this is about.
Same here. It doesn't give you enough, but you see enough in there that's like, oh, kind of creepy.
Yeah.
And A24.
Yep.
So that'll be interesting. I'd like to see that maybe. I might see that in the theater. On the 16th, the big one there is Cars 3.
Yeah, it's too late.
I will say this. They've only come out with a teaser for this. I haven't seen any major trailers for this. But the teaser looks almost photorealistic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not, Good Dinosaurs Water was photorealistic.
Well,
but that
sure.
movie's still a fucking disaster.
I'm not saying go, immediately run to Cars 3 because everything looks photorealistic, but it looks amazing.
This is one of these things where I actually have a feeling this could be the best of the 3 Cars movies. It looks like they're taking a darker tone, but it's too little too late. I like the first Cars more than most people, but it's still an inferior Pixar movie. The second Cars is shame-worthy.
Yeah.
They really should have been shouting shame at people when they went to the premiere.
It's really bad.
And I don't know how you get me now. Little kids, fucking sure. The reason they keep making Cars movies is because it's the highest grossing merchandise of all the Pixar films. Because little boys love cars, man.
Yeah.
But me, as a film viewer, you lost your chance. This may be the best fucking movie in the world, but I'm going to have to hear that from 100 people before I ever watch it.
But even so, do you need a gritty reboot of Cars?
No.
And that's what this looks like.
Yeah, and we didn't need Cars 2.
No. And Cars 2 was arguably darker because it had this James Bondian type of plot. But no, this is going in the wrong direction, man.
I will say this, though. Almost every Pixar movie I've ever seen that has a teaser like this has ended up being surprisingly good.
Well, and I thought Toy Story 2 and 3 were unnecessary, and they both turned out good.
And I don't think they should have made Cars 3, but there's every time one of these teasers have come out for Pixar. Now, honestly, we are talking about a different time, a different period where they used to come out with these things where everything was good that they made. So this doesn't mean much, but the fact that, I've seen that kind of thing before, we're like, I don't know. Sometimes they have a surprise waiting in store.
I would love for it to be great, but you guys let me know.
This is a pretty big weekend. You have the Tupac biopic, All Eyes on Me, comes out, and that dude looks exactly like Tupac.
He sure does. Did you see the trailer?
I've seen it one time.
So what this trailer does not have is very little of him actually doing music.
Oh, yeah?
There's a few shots of him on stage. There's maybe a shot of him in the studio. But it's basically how he is this folk hero, this community leader, and all the different times he was tried to be assassinated, which is several. Stabbed, shot twice, all that stuff. And, it's all this stuff with his mind. It just doesn't... The reason that you like Tupac... People love Tupac a lot more than I love Tupac. I've just never gotten into his music as much as everybody else has.
Right.
But if you're going to go and watch a Tupac documentary, that's the shit that you want to see. I mean, I guess some people want to see how many times he's almost died and this thug life thing and everything. And it's probably got a cool perspective, but it's just not my bag.
I want to see an entire movie about Tupac's life during the time of the filming of Poetic Justice.
Yes.
And whether or not he and Janet Jackson were boning.
And above the rim.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
But I mean, I agree, because Straight Outta Compton, what we really want, I mean, what really came through in those trailers is that this was them coming up with their stuff, and this is them singing and all those stuff. And there would be some back behind the scenes type of stuff, but this one is kind of like a different take on it or whatever. Also coming out on that 16th is Rough Night, which we were talking about the Summer of Females, basically. This is essentially Very Bad Things with women in it.
Yeah. But, you like Very Bad Things?
No.
Sorry.
Very Bad Things is trying way too fucking hard.
All right.
I mean, I see what people like in it, but no.
I'm kind of the same way about that movie. Even though I see some moments in it, but Rough Night has got that sort of vibe to it, because it's a bunch of ladies going out to party and everything, and then they kill a stripper, which is exactly what happens in Very Bad Things.
Yeah.
And then all the sort of the aftermath of that, where they don't want to get caught, and so they make things worse by doing that. But it's being written by the Broad City. It's Alana Glazer and Abby Jacobson, I think is her name. So I'm there for that. And plus Kate McKinnon, Scarlett Johansson. We have Jillian Bell.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in this that and Kate McKinnon's got a good Australian accent going on.
Yeah.
It's
so good, man.
And she's just funny. I mean, just the trailer in this, she could again be like Ghostbusters and be the only thing funny about it. But Jillian Bell's in there too, and Alana Glazer. There's a heavy hitting amount of awesome comedians in there. So I am interested in watching this movie.
Me too.
I want to see it. I might actually see this in theaters. On the 23rd, the big one, Transformers. The Last Night.
Go and fuck yourself.
Is this I mean, it's Jesus Christ.
I have nothing to say about it.
Isn't this an Arthurian legend?
Yes.
It is.
It's going to have Churchill, it's going to have King Arthur, and those words coming out of my mouth really depress me.
The trailer that's out, the trailer that I saw this morning looks like Logan almost, with robots.
Oh, really?
Because Mark Wahlberg is apparently the seasoned vet of Transformers now, because he was in the one movie.
Yeah.
And they have this little girl in the trailer who's all through the trailer saying, they always said that I fought like a girl and that I blah 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 like a girl. Of course, she's obviously a badass in this movie somehow, but it's Mark Wahlberg taking this girl under his wing, and blah blah. It's just like Logan.
Wow.
Although, I'm sure that they filmed these without knowing one or the other. But
it's a Transformers movie that's going to have King Arthur and Winston Churchill in it.
Yeah. that Key and Peele sketch where they do the pitch for Gremlins 2? Have you ever seen that?
I think so. I just don't remember it very well.
Oh, it's a fucking hilarious skit, because everybody's in the meeting, and they bring in this one guy to come in and it's just say whatever comes to the top at the top of your head and everything, and everybody starts saying stuff that's actually in Gremlins 2. And it's the most insane shit ever. And by the time that guy leaves, it's none of that's going to go in the movie. And then there's a text afterwards that says all of that was in the movie. It's kind of like what Transformers are there's going to be King Arthur and Winston Churchill.
Yep.
I mean, they greenlighted that.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm out hard.
There's another shark story coming out that same weekend.
Jesus.
47 Meters Down.
What the fuck is it about?
It's about two chicks who go down in a cage, and the shark comes in. I think they're something snaps. It's like open water almost. Something snaps on the cage where it keeps them in the water. And now a shark comes around, and it's just another fucking shark movie, man.
Yeah, I'm out. No.
So that's what a horrible
I'm
weekend.
passing on almost the whole summer so far.
June 30th. I know that this isn't going to stay the way it is, but Amityville: The Awakening comes out, which okay. Full disclosure to all of our podcast listeners.
Go ahead.
We've written scripts for the other two Amityville horrors. The original and the Ryan Reynolds one. We've had those fuckers
for almost a year.
For like more than a year now, just sitting on the shelf waiting for this bullshit to come out.
They keep bumping it.
And there was a moment there I was like, well, maybe we'll do it with The Conjuring 2 comes out because it is the same family and all that bullshit. But then I was like, no, though. This Amityville is definitely coming out at some point. It has been moved back a million fucking times. And the problem is they come out, they say, all right, we're going to do this on June 30th. There's another horror movie coming out that weekend. So one of those is going to flinch. And guess what? It's probably going to be Amityville: The Awakening. But there's another one called Wish Upon that's coming out that's about, it's almost fucking...
Demonic Stars?
It's almost like... No, it's... I don't know if it's...
Like you wish upon a star and then it comes down and
I know
kills
what you're
you.
talking about.
It's
like a revenge fantasy.
It's
isn't
almost
it?
like Monkey's Paw type stuff, where like they wish for stuff and they're getting things, but there's some negative aspects to it. And of course, she has to be careful what she wishes for because people actually start dying and shit and everything. Good thing I don't have such a thing when I'm driving around Nashville.
Jesus, no joke.
But those two horror movies, the big one though on the 30th is Despicable Me 3.
Yeah.
And
more minions.
very oddly, Trey Parker is a voice in this one.
Mm-hmm.
I would have bet money Trey Parker would never do a voice for a movie like Despicable Me.
And especially what this character looks like. He's just a freaking caricature of 80s.
Can I take a wild stab and suggest that maybe he has, in the last few years, had a family and now he wants to be attached
I
to
can
some
almost
stuff?
guarantee that's what it is. I don't know for a fact, but it's so odd seeing his name written on a Despicable Me movie. This one is more about Gru, the Steve Carell character, seeing his brother Drew.
Yeah.
And they're like, and Drew wants to get him back into the life of crime and everything. So madcap, mayhem ensues. It looks awful. I don't like the other Despicable Me's. So.
Yeah, it's no call for this.
Illumination.
But the one movie I am excited about on June 30th is The House.
Oh, yeah.
Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler. Okay, the premise of this movie is ridiculous, and that's why I'm instantly on board. They need to get their daughter, they need to get money for their daughter to go through college. They don't have it. And they go to they go to a loan officer and they're like, you don't have enough money to send your daughter through college. And so like they open a casino in their house and then all the stuff the crazy stuff that happens in casinos is in their basement and everything. But like it looks like Will Ferrell sort of back to form and that stuff that we liked about Will Ferrell all through this trailer. The Jason Mantzoukas in this is always a welcome comic sight, basically. He's just funny as fuck, man.
This movie was completely off my radar.
Well, and it was off of mine too until I just went through Box Office Mojo's schedule and I was like, what the fuck is The House? And there's just happens to be a trailer for it, and it is funny.
Awesome.
It's
I'll
funny.
check it out.
I am looking forward to The House. I will watch it. Now, last year I was excited about like 3 or 4 movies, and all of them turned out to be shit. And so, I don't want to get too excited about this, but this looks funny, so I'm all about it.
All right.
I guess it's a Wednesday opening. Edgar Wright's Baby Driver.
Yeah. What did you think of this?
I'm on the fence, man, because if you didn't tell me that was Edgar Wright, and I can certainly see some of his directing in there, but if I just take the trailer at face value, I'm kind of a little cringy.
Thought the exact same thing.
Man.
But because it's Edgar Wright, I'm in. I'll go see it.
I'm the same about this. I'm going to watch this because it's Edgar Wright. It doesn't matter what was in the trailer. Some parts of this trailer, though, make me wonder if they were toning down Edgar Wright's stuff that he usually does, like as far as what goes in the trailer. They wanted to make this look like some exciting Fast and the Furious movie, when in reality it's probably a little bit different from what we've seen, what we're seeing in the trailer, because there are some like just like half a second chops in this trailer that I'm like, oh, I want to see the full version of that, because that looks like more like Edgar Wright type stuff. If it turns out to be like the trailer where it's, a bunch of cars just, doing stunts and stuff, then, that's not going to be a good movie probably.
I'm going to choose to hope for the best, because this is what he made after the whole Ant-Man fiasco. And I would have to believe could go either way. After that Ant-Man fiasco, a creative mind might just be down in the dregs and not able to get themselves there. But I feel like he was extra motivated with whatever that next movie was going to be. That trailer's not doing it any justice, though.
No, and it's weird when he does. This is like more of an American type of movie.
Yeah.
Even though like people like Lily James are in it and stuff like that, but there are a lot of American actors in this one. Same thing happened with Scott Pilgrim versus the World a little bit, because it seemed like a different kind of movie for him. Like
definitely, yeah.
And when you watch it, it's like, oh, okay, this is like what he normally does, but on steroids.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with Baby Driver. I am also very on the fence about it, but going to watch it because of him.
Yep.
So, our July 4th weekend, Spider-Man: Homecoming comes out July 7th.
Well, I guess I got a feeling we're going to see this just for mini-pod purposes, but I've already seen it.
Yeah.
And I'm very disappointed
Oh,
about
you mean
it.
you got a secret viewing of it, or you watched the trailer?
I watched the trailer, which gave me every goddamn motherfucking beat that movie has to offer. And
I still haven't seen this trailer because of your advice.
I would not watch it, man, because you probably have more optimism for this movie than I do at this point. It feels like we're going to get way too much Tony Stark and Iron Man for it to feel. I think it's going to sadly feel more like an MCU film than a Spider-Man film. And I don't know that I want that. One of the things I've read that excites me is the director has talked about, Spider-Man's not just instantly over his fear of heights. Like, you're not going to see him on the top of 50-story buildings here. Like, he has to sort of learn what he can and can't do. So a lot of his web slinging will be closer to the ground. I like the idea of taking more time to look at that, right? Because the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire gives us like 2 scenes and then boom, he's basically Spider-Man.
Yep.
And I love Tom Holland and everything I've seen or heard him in so far. I have a lot of optimism about him. But yet again, we have another villain who's angry at Tony Stark. Just like Ultron.
Yeah.
Just like Scarlet Witch. Right. I mean, I just don't know if I'm getting a bad feeling. And I don't want to.
Michael Keaton's villain just looks so generic. I'm sure it's going to be some sort. Of course, it's a bird. Yep. And what is he, the Vulture or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, just swap him out for Mickey Rourke as Whiplash or whatever. It's just give us something that we can grab onto, and it's not throwing Iron Man in there a bunch either. I mean, and it certainly he does play a significant role from what the trailer indicates.
Oh yeah, he's going to be all up in that movie, and we'll see. But yeah, don't watch that trailer.
It's funny. I feel like I feel like I'm like back in time. Like I got frozen in time with this because I didn't watch the new trailer. I've watched only the teaser trailer where I'm like, Spider-Man's going to be great, guys, and you guys have watched like
we've seen too much.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's not great, man. It's not great at all.
I have a bad feeling. I mean, okay. There is going to be a movie that Marvel, that's part of the MCU, that's terrible. It's mathematics. Even Pixar has started to make terrible movies.
Yeah.
I think it might be this one.
Oh, man.
And
I hope not.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
And even if it is terrible, they'll make a sequel and they'll keep rolling him into the MCU and they'll just try and make a better one next time because that's how they do. But yeah, I'm not sure the Marvel influence has done for Spidey what we thought. I think they might have just brought a bunch of Marvel over for MCU Marvel. And then I got that Blue Jay building in the background of my Spider-Man poster. Fuck you, Tony Stark. All right, what's next?
The next week is War for the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah! Maybe my most anticipated movie of the summer. Let's get it on. Now, if this comes out and flops or is terrible, then we have to panic a little bit because this man is doing the next Batman film. But the last one was great.
Yep.
This one, all those fucking snowy shots in that trailer. There was a trailer in this past week that came out. I don't know if you guys have seen it. But a shot of fucking Caesar on a horse with snow all over his fur and falling behind him. The promise of much more battle and war.
Mm-hmm.
The hope I have that the Woody Harrelson line from the trailer is not in the actual movie.
Yeah, no kidding.
And just the franchise has surprised me twice, and I am hopeful it does it again and hits it out of the park. I'm really excited.
I am too. The new one that I saw was better than the one that we've been seeing in theaters for a really long time. I'm completely on board with this movie now. Like, just a lot of the shots in there look really cool. It's an interesting thing, isn't it, that we're going to be watching this movie rooting for the monkeys and the apes, basically.
Yeah. Although if this goes to its logical conclusion, this series will eventually be at a place where we're rooting for the humans and against the apes.
Yeah.
Because we're going to eventually get back around to Heston's story.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they've made the apes the heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was sort of an interesting thing watching this trailer, and I was sort of going, oh, we're identifying more with the apes in this than we are with the actual people.
What I kind of like about Dawn is that it gives us still humans that are good, right? Like that whole bond between Jason Clarke and Caesar carries that whole movie. But you also have Gary Oldman, who would probably rather be warmongering and just killing the apes and not respecting them. And it feels like we got kind of a snapshot in time of humanity's evilness, and now we're going to get the next shot with Woody Harrelson probably just being an all-out madman.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And Andy Serkis is God. I can't wait to see what he does. This is probably my number one movie to look for.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one as well. The following week, Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk comes out.
I forgot about Dunkirk.
Yeah, okay. This movie looks tense as shit.
Yes, it does.
The trailers already give me anxiety.
I know,
and it's almost too much.
He said in an interview that there's not a lot of blood. Like they very specifically went about trying to give you the experience of war from not the blood and gore and guts but more from like that first teaser when they're all in the boat and they hear that plane and they start ducking down. God, I have a good feeling. I love me some Nolan.
And then the new one where you hear, it's coming back. You know, it's like, geez. It's going to be an intense movie. I'm interested to see how big of a hit this might be.
Oh, I got a prediction there.
Yeah?
I think it's going to be huge. Would you like to know why? Harry Styles is in it.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how many preteen girls are going to go watch this movie just for that?
Yeah.
That's a lot. A lot.
It is a lot.
And it looks like... I get the sense there's not a ton of dialogue. It's going to be a lot of like facial expressions and actual activity and whatnot. I mean, maybe he'll be a great actor. I don't know. But when he was cast and then when the trailer came out and I was reminded that he was in the movie, I was like, well, that just feels really weird. But those girls are going to eat that shit up.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to go even with, in big packs. Right?
Let's go see. Yeah. It's a bunch of 14-year-old girls going to see Dunkirk.
I'm telling you, I think it's going to make money.
I don't know if it's been rated yet because I saw just a snippet recently today, I think, that Nolan's still pushing for the PG-13 rating. But I think they're teetering on the R.
Interesting.
And maybe it's because of that, like he's really campaigning because there's not a lot of blood in it and everything. But, oh, man, this is going to be a crazy, crazy fucking movie. I feel the same way watching this. Like, I have to get prepared with it like I did The Revenant, where, like, The Revenant I know is just going to be super fucking intense all the way through.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to this. July might actually, break the bank going to watch the movie.
Yeah, seriously.
That same Friday, another Girls Going Out Partying movie, Girls Trip, also comes out. That's Jada Pinkett Smith. I was mildly amused at the trailer when I first saw it. I'm sure that if I watched it now, I'm like, no, of course not. I'm not going to watch that. But you know what? It got some laughs when I think I saw it in front of Get Out. There were some laughs in there. So who knows? It might be, I don't know. It looks kind of, I don't know. It could be good.
Hey, I laughed once at the Brothers Grimsby trailer. It doesn't mean anything.
That's true. But that's another theme, the theme of the summer. The
Girls Night Out, baby.
Girls Night Out. Also coming out on the 21st, movie that Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets.
Oh, no, stay away. It's going to be so bad.
It looks horrible, right?
Well, and see, here's the thing. Everybody, again, I'm mostly basing when I say everybody, I'm talking about the R Movies subreddit. But everybody there seems hyped for this because they have this love of Fifth Element. Now, first of all, I love Fifth Element. Not as good as you think it is, kids.
Yeah.
It's not groundbreaking or it's fun. It's quirky and fun. But at its best, that's what we're going to get with Valera. It looks like Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah.
It looks like everything bad about bad sci-fi. And I want to believe the best, but listen, Fifth Element was ages ago.
Yeah.
Well, that guy made Lucy
He did.
more recently than he made The Fifth Element.
Yeah. This movie, it obviously gives you the Fifth Element vibes and everything, but both movies have this in common. They both look cool and really stupid at the same time.
That's a good way to put it.
Like, how does that happen? Fifth Element's got all these great images of like the futuristic New York City or whatever, like all the flying cars and all that. But then like he just surrounds it with ridiculousness and Chris Tucker. Yeah. And like there's just so much and it's going to be like this in this one. I've seen the most recent trailer where, they're everything about it is like, oh, that looks cool, but man, you're so much stupidity.
How do you settle on these two as your leads for this?
Oh, I know. It's weird.
Cara Delevingne has been in, 2 movies?
She's been a little more than that, I think.
And Dean DeHaan has been in, a handful.
Dane DeHaan.
I liked him in Chronicle, but nothing else.
Yeah. Everything else is like even like Amazing Spider-Man.
He's
and
a little over the top.
That, and there's a few others like he was in The Cure for Wellness earlier this year.
I'm expecting a big flaming turd from this movie. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Luc Besson. You had talent.
Yeah.
Where did it go?
Yeah.
And he's been wanting to make this movie for 20 years. That's the only thing that gives you any hope is that this was his favorite serial to read as a kid. So maybe there's some extra love in there.
It just doesn't look.
It looks
it
pretty
just
bad.
Doesn't look good.
Okay, so the following week we have Atomic Blonde, or as a lot of people have mentioned, it looks like John Wick, or I guess you could call it Jane Wick if you wanted to.
It really does.
It does. It does look like it has way more humor in it though than John Wick.
Yeah,
does.
John Wick is a dour movie.
Yeah,
but as far as the action we're seeing on screen and potentially even the story, it feels very John Wickian.
Yeah, it does.
And I'm not opposed to this. Like you said, I didn't realize when you said this how right you were, but that really is the theme of summer, is like badass women and women taking the center stage.
Yep.
I'm down for this movie. I'll go see it.
You really have to do what I do, where I go through Box Office Mojo and find the trailer and watch all these trailers like all in a row, and then suddenly like things just start becoming clear. You're like, this is the summer of badass bitches.
Well, even Charlize in Fate of the Furious. Like the villain in the Fast and Furious movie this time is a badass woman.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
She's the only one that can tame Vin Diesel.
Yeah, I don't give a shit what's going on there.
Family.
Yeah, they do the song Killer Queen in the trailer. I wish they had done Suicide Blonde.
Oh
yeah.
Although you can't go wrong, Killer Queen.
No,
That's
you
really
can't.
awesome.
You can't. Also coming out on the 28th, the Emoji Movie.
Is there a trailer for this?
There is one teaser, and it's got Stephen Wright as the meh emoji, talking about
Patrick Stewart,
talking about how excited you should be for this movie. Stephen Wright is always a welcome voice. So that gave me a little bit of like hope for this.
K-Billy's Super Sounds of the 70s.
Exactly. But there's a part where he's talking, and then like he's about to say something, and then he's like, I think it's gonna be a flaming pile of, and then the poop emoji is like, nope, don't finish that sentence. Don't finish, So with the voice talent they've got involved with this movie, I'm not going to watch it in theaters, but maybe it'll be a little bit better.
Let me remind you of all that sin we had today in the Angry Birds video, of all the amazing talent, voice talent in that movie. That does not mean anything.
That's true, but at least this looks a little bit funnier than the Angry Birds movie.
That's because Angry Birds is like 0% funny.
Yeah,
God.
And 100% fuck you.
I want to punch that movie.
Yeah, I was really angry. That movie is anger-inducing.
Yeah.
Pardon the pun.
Al Gore returns to the scene in an inconvenient sequel.
Yeah, no matter what your leanings are on this is a powerful trailer.
And
it may just be propaganda, And if it's not, it's a terrifying trailer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if it's somewhere in between, which is usually the truth, it's still very powerful.
This is what I like to tell my wife about like climate change and Earth. Like, we don't have any kids. We'll be dead before anything happens. But the Earth is pretty much doomed.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty much screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and if we save the Earth, then we're going to get hit by an asteroid anyway.
Or an alien
eventually.
or something.
Yeah, something's going to happen.
We're going to turn into the Earth from after Earth with Ursas that have evolved to
Yes,
kill
everything's
humans, despite
on
no
this
humans
planet.
being on the planet
That's
anymore.
right.
Yeah. I do have progeny, so this is extra terrifying to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll probably watch this. I like the case made by An Inconvenient
Yep.
Truth. And now that there's been so many years since that last one came out, I'll be interested to
A lot of
hear what he
science.
has to say in this. What do we think of Untitled Disney Fairy Tale live action coming out on the 28th?
That's my favorite one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
What the fuck?
Did
does
you see that
even
trailer?
mean?
There's apparently an Untitled Disney Fairy Tale live action coming out on July 28th. They haven't made it yet.
They haven't shot it.
They just know that they're going to come out with one on the 28th.
Well, it's live action, so they don't have to draw
It'll
it.
be what? It'll be the Lion King, or it'll be what is it? It'll be the Rescuers Down Under, something like that. It'll be a fairy tale, so it'll be something Maleficent 2 or something.
Yeah.
Who knows? But
Shut
I
your
thought I
hole.
should bring that up since Box Office Mojo shows it on their schedule. Untitled Disney Fairy Tale live action. August 4th, The Dark Tower comes out.
Yeah.
Man, I'm a little bit excited for this.
Yeah.
There's not really anything that's been
You read
put
the
out
books?
there. Oh, yeah, I read every book.
Everybody I know who's read those books is just obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
I never read the books. Couldn't give a rat's ass.
Oh, really?
Like, there's nothing I've read or seen or I mean, if you say it's badass, I'll go check it out. But I'm not interested in what they're showing me.
I don't really know. Okay, so they're going to do the movie and then follow it up with like a miniseries or a TV show afterwards, right? Is that still the
I
plan?
haven't heard.
That's a terrible strategy.
Well, I don't know if it is because this is a very serial series of books where it can't be told in one story. Matter of fact, it's kind of weird that they're calling this The Dark Tower when the first book was called The Gunslinger,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a very Logan-esque story where, well, actually, not really, because he's chasing after this dude. He's chasing after the Man in Black, who's being played by Matthew McConaughey. And it's a great, he's going through all of these problems, these travails through this epic desert to get to this one guy. And it's a really compelling story. So if they can tell that kind of story, I'm fucking in, baby.
Yeah. I've read 2 of these books. I think I've read The Gunslinger and I've read The Drawing of the Three.
Mhm.
And is Drawing of the Three the second one? Yeah, I think I've read those 2.
Yeah.
I haven't gone past that. But I did enjoy The Gunslinger a lot. I think that's a really interesting book that, of course, it has a little bit of elements of Lord of the Rings in it or whatever, and it's got sort of a same type of rabid fan base that Lord of the Rings does. It's not nearly as long a time, although it's close. I mean, this is the 70s.
Yeah, he started in like 72-ish or something.
Yeah,
like
something like that. So it's fairly close. But Idris Elba, man, I'm going to watch it because of Idris Elba. And I guess they're hoping that if it hits, they'll make more movies.
Mm-hmm.
But they have the miniseries planned if it doesn't hit. If that would be my guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm interested in this. This will sort of be the last. Usually the first week of August is the last salvo of the summer, essentially. And that particular week has held some pretty big movies like Sixth Sense and The Fugitive, and but usually that first week of August is that last chance to make summer dollars, and that's a pretty good time slot for it. Then the 11th, Annabelle 2 comes out.
Ooh,
Maybe.
Annabelle Harder.
Maybe unless
There's
unless Amityville Horror: The Awakening is going to be moved to that.
There's a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the studio.
Oh, really?
Over both Conjuring movies and the Annabelle movie because this guy wrote a book about the real couple
Right.
in the 70s and claims that he has exclusive rights to any stories having to do with their demon hunting adventures. So it's like I want to say it's some huge number, like 100 million or something that he's suing the studio for, and one of the attempts is to stop them from making more
Interesting.
So it's the guy who wrote the original Amityville Horror, right? I think his name is something like Anson something. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, that would be weird if they'll find a way. They'll give him some hush money probably.
How would you like a producer credit?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they'll find a way to do it. Yeah, I didn't see the first Annabelle. Heard it's terrible.
Yeah, I don't care.
The next one, the next week, I guess this is a Hitman franchise thing. The Hitman's Bodyguard. No, that's something.
Hitman's Bodyguard. I saw the poster when I was researching for this, and all I saw was Ryan Reynolds. So
yeah, Ryan Reynolds, Samuel L. Jackson, Salma Hayek, and Gary Oldman are all in this. I have not seen any trailers for this.
Has a title that makes it sound like it could be an action comedy.
It is. That's what Box Office Mojo.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that.
Because the first Nut Job was such a huge hit, the Nut Job 2, Nutty by Nature, comes out on
Zing!
I don't even remember what was Nut Job. This is completely off my radar.
Yeah, it was off everybody's radar, and I don't know why they're making a second one.
All right, good enough.
And then on the 25th, there's nothing I recognize right now. I think we're pretty much at the end of this. I know that technically still the summer, It comes out on September 8th.
Have you seen
That's
that
exciting.
I've seen that trailer.
I don't even like horror, and I want to see. Maybe it's because we talked to the guy that helped design the creature or something. I don't know, but I am ready for this. This looks awesome.
It does.
And terrifying.
Yeah, it does. And, we got to talk to the guy who created the clown.
That's right. Aaron Sims, baby.
Aaron Sims, man. We got to talk to him. And I was so happy. Like, I think it was the week of us talking to him. Like that first image came out.
Oh yeah,
Pennywise.
Yeah. And then now the trailer, and everybody's really like soaking it up, man.
Yeah.
Dude, that trailer broke the record for most views online.
That's insane.
Of anything.
I didn't think that it was that huge of a deal. I
didn't
remember when that like miniseries came out. I watched that when I was like 13 or whatever. And I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I didn't think that it had built this huge following over the years and everything. Another Stephen King property.
Yeah. Lots of King today.
But that'll be interesting. September 8th is not a good time for movies. September in general is not a good time for movies. Everybody's in school. And usually they put the worst of the worst, kind of like January and everything. So it'll be interesting to see how this movie does on a September 8th release date.
Yeah, it's curious.
There's also some really weird, like this is after the summer, so we're sort of getting, but it's September 29th. You get the Flatliners remake.
Boo.
And you get apparently Kingsman, The Golden Circle comes out. That is not a good release date for the Kingsman, unless they're sort of considering it October by that point, but that doesn't show much faith in that movie whatsoever.
That's weird. Maybe it's terrible.
And well, it could end up just getting another release date. I mean, we are talking far into the future.
It's going to be a minute.
So I mean,
did the first one make a lot of money?
The first one did decent. It wasn't like a huge hit, but it was decent. And I'll also mention on the 22nd, Ninjago comes out. That's the other Lego movie.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
It looks interesting.
That trailer was hilarious.
Yeah.
My kid loves that series, man.
So,
really? Is it a TV show?
It's a TV show, and it's the Lego version of. In fact, it's a Lego building set, and then they made it into a TV show, and kids eat it up.
All right, groovy.
All right, so that'll do it for the summer preview.
Summer preview.
That's right. We got through some stuff. Ultimately, a lot of like super unoriginal shit and sequels and garbage, and then girls going crazy, and
it could be like 2016 summer.
There's
all
like
over again.
3 movies I really want to see. There's like 3 movies I really want to see.
Yeah, I know.
Like maybe War for the Planet of the Apes, Dunkirk.
Yeah, but that's it for me, pretty much.
Yeah. Fuck. Okay, let's do some questions.
Couple questions.
Let's do it.
Question. I got something to say. I want the truth.
I am listening.
Okay, first question. I know there are a lot of great iconic lines, like you had me at hello, but what are some less appreciated ones? Now listen, this is in our fucking wheelhouse, baby. We speak in movie quotes a lot. So you've come to the right place.
I even have a shirt that says I speak fluent movie quotes.
Why don't you start?
I'm going old school on you. Well, I want to talk about 2 lines in White Christmas. Now, I think most people who love movies could watch White Christmas and have a good time. It's extra special to my family. My mom and her sister grew up watching it every year. Then they passed it on to us when we were kids. And now my brothers and his kids watch it every year. My wife and I watch it every year. Love this movie. We could quote it back and forth. In fact, that's what we do. We get together and we sit down and we say the lines before they show up on film. Mm-hmm. Very, very unappreciated for it's funny. Because there's a lot of it. And there's a scene early on where you've got Wallace and Davis characters. It's Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby, and they've been together as partners, musical partners, for a long, long time. They have this great relationship, and they're in their dressing room doing this great bit where they keep taking off part of their clothing and throwing it to the other guy. Like, one guy's responsible for putting all 4 shoes away. The other guy's responsible for hanging both sets of pants. And so they're continually disrobing and tossing stuff at each other in this kind of physical comedy bit almost. Anyway, Danny Kaye's trying to get Bing Crosby to go out with this girl, and Bing Crosby doesn't want to. And ultimately, Danny Kaye says, when what's left of you gets around to what's left to be gotten won't be worth getting whatever it is you've got left. And it's just the most nonsensical bullshit. And Bing Crosby pauses and says, well, when I figure out what that meant, I'll come up with a crushing reply. And there's another great bit between them when they decide to bring their whole show to the lodge that their old general is the owner of, and it's not doing any business because there's no snow. So they're going to bring their whole rehearsal show up and do a show there and bring in the masses and help out the general. And Bing Crosby's on the phone to their producer, basically telling him all this. And Danny Kaye's just standing there next to him. And Bing Crosby's like, how much is this going to cost? And he goes, wow. And then he goes, okay, thanks, and hangs up. And Danny Kaye's like, how much is wow? And Bing ignores him and says something else. He's like, how much is wow? And then he eventually grabs him by the collar. How much is wow? And Bing Crosby goes, somewhere between ouch and boing. And Danny Kaye goes, wow. Anyway, I fucking love that movie, and nobody ever quotes it but my immediate family.
Nice.
So it's got some funny shit.
Wow.
All right, so I've mentioned one of these before, but I always feel like it's an underappreciated line because it's just so, I don't know if it's not trying, it's not searching for your, it's not hoping for your praise in any way, just the way it's said. But in Role Models, there's a scene where Sean William Scott has a night of druggery and stuff, and he ends up naked in the dirt, and everybody wakes up, and they're in like this like campground type of thing. Like all these people have come out, like it's a Big Brother type of retreat or whatever, and he's like had sex with this girl and had all these drugs and everything. So everybody wakes up and he's just lying face first in the dirt naked. And David Wayne, who's the director of the movie, he's like, that's just a classic case of guy on the ground. It makes me laugh all the time. I used to walk into the theater when that scene came on, and like nobody would laugh at it. And I'm like, fuck you. You guys need to laugh at this shit. This is funny as fuck. I also have another. Swimming with Sharks has a lot of great lines in it, but my favorite part of it is when they're trying to come up with this director to make this movie called Real Life or whatever it is. Spacey is talking to Frank Whaley, and there's a point where he's like, you want to talk big directors? Think Attenborough, think Spielberg, think Lean. And he's like, Lean's dead. And he's like, don't you say that. Don't ever say that. He's just unavailable. So yeah, I love those lines.
Oh, I love that character. So the one that came to mind is special to me because I used to listen to this soundtrack on CD all the time. It was from Reservoir Dogs, and it was Reservoir Dogs. I just quoted it earlier, where it's Stephen Wright going, "Okay, Billy, sounds of the '70s," and introduces "Ooka Chaka Ooka Ooka" before it was in Guardians of the Galaxy. Blue Swedes, Hooked on a Feeling. But there's a great scene where they're still like in developing the plan and everything, and Harvey Keitel and Tim Roth are sitting there, and Tim Roth is getting kind of the lay of the land from Harvey Keitel, and he's like, all right, so here's what's going to happen. You go in and you get everybody on the ground. If you get a manager that gives you static, take the butt of your gun and hit him in the face with it. Blood spurts out everywhere. Nobody says fucking shit after that. And he's like, if you get a real cowboy, cut his pinky off and then tell him his thumb is next. And then he'll tell you if he wears ladies' underwear. All of that is terrific dialogue. But after he does that, he just pauses. He's like, I'm hungry. Let's get a taco.
yeah.
Nobody ever quotes that except you, and I do love that line. They quote so much of that, Mr. Pink, why do I have to be Mr. Brown, and Mr. all that shit, but nobody ever quotes that line.
It's so great. Fucking Harvey Keitel. It's that tough guy voice.
Yeah. All that's sort of like got Tarantino where he was, where it was like gangsters not talking about just gangster shit.
Yeah.
They're talking about stuff everybody talks about.
Yeah, debating whether or not to tip and how much to tip.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. Which movies are more fun to watch a second time? Movies that have a twist, that may have a twist at the end that makes you want to watch it again. I have a different take on that.
Okay.
Not a movie with the twist, but one that I wanted to almost immediately dive back into if it weren't so exhausting. It's 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
First time I saw this, as probably a lot of people did, I just couldn't grasp it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just so much fucking going on.
I still can't grasp the last 20 minutes.
Well, and even the first, 18 minutes with the apes.
It's fucking weird.
Yep.
And it really, I mean, almost that first scene or that first section with the apes and everything almost drags, but it doesn't when you watch it in context. But I mean, you go from that into like a space drama, into a horror movie, into this, meditation on life and its purpose and cyclical nature of the universe and things like that. And my mind just couldn't get there.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next time I watch it, you just wide-eyed. You're like another Kubrick thing, like the Clockwork Orange guys with your eyes wide open. And man, like I still do that. Every time I pop it in, it's not something that you have in the background. It's something that you really want to pick apart and be like, why is this here? Because everything is there for a reason. Why is this here? And what does this say about this? What does it say about the rest of the movie? And I love doing that. So it's better to me, much better on the second viewing, even better on the consecutive viewing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my pick.
Yeah.
Good one.
I'm going to give a really obvious one, The Usual Suspects on this one. Mainly for watching Kevin Spacey's performance, because I'm pretty sure everybody who watches that movie immediately cancels him out as being Kaiser Soze.
Yep.
So, like, a lot of his little nuances and everything, you don't really notice the first time. You just kind of like, he's just telling the story. You don't think there's any way he's lying about it. You just take it as it is. You think everything is, this is a truth. But when you see it again, you start seeing the part where Chaz Palminteri is like saying what he believes and everything, and you see this little smile get on his face. It's chilling.
Yeah.
Like how that little smile he makes, because Chaz Palminteri is saying a whole bunch of stuff that's wrong, completely wrong. And so, just seeing his performance after is really awesome.
I love the character names in this. Verbal Kent.
Yeah.
Dean
That's
Keaton.
so close to nasty.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
he's the hyperverbal one,
apparently that's what the almost literal translation of Kaiser Soze is from Turkish.
Is that what it is? Mm-hmm. Interesting. But yeah, man, Kobayashi, Kaiser Soze, like just everything is like not alliterative, but just, I don't know. It's just cool. I love it.
Even all the side characters have cool names, like the rest of the crew.
McManus,
and
Finster,
Finster,
Dean Keaton.
Keaton.
If I'm going to go with something like specific to the question, like that has a twist that makes me, I'll just answer the classic Sixth Sense there, because once I knew the ending, I wanted to go back and watch and see where he might have made mistakes, and of course he really didn't. But the real answer I want to give to this question that once I saw it the first time I wanted to watch it again was the Lego movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so much going on in this movie, from sight gags to lines of dialogue. There are lines of dialogue in the background that are, you don't even see it till the third time you've seen this movie. This is jam-packed. Maybe outdone by Lego Batman, this year in terms of jam-packing too much in there. But the Lego movie is just full to the brim with fun, goofy, wacky, crazy shit. And I knew I had missed a lot of it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get back there.
Nice one.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you were in the Star Wars and or Star Trek universe, what would you want your vocation to be? Props for using the word vocation instead of job.
Yeah.
And what era of that universe would you choose to live in?
I thought about this a lot.
Yes.
I'm a Star Trek Next Generation nerd, and I want to be in that era of Trek, and I want to be on that ship, and I want to be the second officer, because when shit goes bad, Riker or Picard are still to blame.
Yeah.
But I have enough authority I can boss people around.
Nice.
Right? And I would like to specialize in transporter sciences. Because it always bothered the shit out of me that Lieutenant O'Brien, Chief O'Brien, was the only guy that apparently had any kind of specialty in the transporters. Like, I feel like I could carve out a niche where it'd be invaluable on away missions, filling in for Chief O'Brien. It feels like he's the only one right now that knows how to work those transporters. So I would focus on that.
Nice.
Anyway, there you go.
In either one of these, I want to be on a scout team. I want to be the person who is responsible for going down to a place before the rest of the crew or anybody gets there and says, watch out for this, watch out for this, watch out for this. You guys are good at kicking ass. I'm not. I'm just gonna, you just follow I'll be very detail oriented and be able to figure out, all right, you definitely want to watch out for this and that and the other thing. And oh yeah, you know this? I snuck into their lair and I found they had these blueprints to, whatever. So obviously Rogue One is probably the era of Star Wars that I'd want to be in. Now Star Trek, they didn't have as much in the way of like scout teams. They would just send teams down to a planet.
Yeah.
And, it's like, well, you.
There's one that Next Generation had a whole episode where Riker was on a planet that had not been contacted by Federation yet. And he was undercover observing their society because they were about to make first contact with this race. And then somebody discovers Riker's not of their race and a whole bunch of pandemonium ensues. But that could be a cool job, like going undercover of an alien planet and then reporting back to the Federation everything they need to know about that race. And don't mention their feet. They're really sensitive about their feet.
Yeah, exactly. I mentioned also that Star Trek The Next Generation would be the era of Star Trek that I'd want to be in because as much as Kirk is always like, I think most Trekkies like Kirk better than Picard. I have always been drawn more to Picard because of the thoughtful way he looks at stuff. They sort of made Kirk underrated in the new movies as far as that's concerned. Yeah. He does have a little Picard in him as far as problem solving. But I would rather be in The Next Generation than the other Star Trek.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought about the Star Trek thing on the way over here because I made my Star Wars pick. But with Star Trek, just real quick, I'm more familiar with the movies than I am the show. So I'd like to be the bartender.
Yeah.
Nice. In the movies. Because that guy gets to see a lot of shit, man. On the deck. He's just like, yeah, all right, come on over and we'll talk about things. He gets different species, different ranks.
Do you think the bartender gets hired just for his bartending on these ships, or does he have some other kind of skills that would help out?
Well, on Next Generation, the show, Guinan was almost a second ship's counselor in addition to being the bartender. Like, she had a very vital role in advising Picard. But, I don't know. I don't even know why I have a bartender, because...
Somebody's got to serve the drinks?
No, I can just walk up to my replicator and say, tea Earl Grey hot, and it comes out. I don't need a goddamn bartender or waiter.
That's true. You got a point. You're not wrong.
That's true. Yeah. Well, if there is a bartender, I'm going to be that fucking person.
You be that bartender.
And if I'm in the Star Wars universe, I am going to run fucking Cloud City after Lando bounces to go help the rebellion.
Nice. That'd
be
awesome.
Because it's not going to be the fucking guy with the headset on.
No, that guy's a loser.
He's a loser, right?
Yeah,
he can only he can only take orders.
Yeah.
And Cloud City is a fucking casino luxury hotel hotspot. And after Lando bounces, it's wide open. Now, as canon goes, the Empire came and tried to take it over. In fact, did take it over for a while. You got two ways to go there. You could either welcome them and just kind of like keep the whole resort thing going, kind of like Casablanca type of thing, and just wait out until the end of Jedi. Or you could mobilize everybody and fight, and you can fight from the comfort of a luxurious resort.
Yeah.
Up in the clouds.
Up in the clouds. You truly belong with us in the clouds. I hated that line. I always fucking hated that line.
Yeah, it's not a great one.
But he's being smooth, man.
Yeah, it's Billy D, baby.
Yeah, man.
You can't turn that off.
I think we send the movie for Leia not jumping into bed with him after that. Anyway, that'll do it for this week. Keep going to SoundCloud and giving us your thoughts.
Yeah, keep it coming. Love talking to you. We're getting to the second and third rounds of the tournament, the bracket challenge. So send us your picks.
Yeah,
and your box.
That's right.
Box.
And
Pixie
your
box.
box of nature.
That's right. All natural box.
The whole natural box.
Somehow keep making it worse.
We do. Anyway, that'll do it for this week. It's Chris Atkins and Jeremy Scott and Barrett Shearer. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit Cinemasins.com.
All right, everybody.
Pop up. Hang on, sorry.
Hello, everybody.
There it is mumbling.
Hi, everybody.
Redo. Do over.
Oh, so you went to Tampa Upstairs Medical College too?
Holy smokes, you need booze.
Wait a minute. Inflammable means flammable?
Hey, join the conversation. Tweet us your box. Do what you gotta
You're
do.
going to have to get approval for this ad.
your box full of candy and snacks. Not any other box.
Oh, Jesus. I got to pee pretty bad, so hopefully it's not a long one.
No, this is pretty short.
Hey, everybody at home, I have to pee.
Yep.
All
right. Hey, so I was watching 10 Things I Hate About You last night.
Mm-hmm.
How young does Julia Stiles look in that movie?
Well,
and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
You think?
Yeah.
Because I don't think Julia Stiles has really aged that
No,
much.
I think she still looks great. Don't get me wrong, but I think she looks like she's in her 30s now, and in that movie she looks 16.
Yeah, because in the Bourne movies, she definitely looks like she's got, some
seasoning.
Yeah, some seasoning. You know what? It makes it sound like it's something bad.
Yeah,
I don't like that. There's nothing bad.
No,
about
it's
that.
good.
Yeah.
I do enjoy that Bogey Lowenstein party.
Oh my God, that's fucking hilarious.
Oh,
Where he's like, no. Okay, that must be like Eric with the caviar.
With the brie.
The brie.
I actually really enjoy that movie. I think it's pretty fun.
Yes, it is. I don't know.
No,
The
that movie's
dialogue-
great. Stop hemming and hawing. That movie's great.
It is, but the dialogue's a little stilted. Plus, the reason I thought about it is the whole consent thing. Like, she goes up to the teacher to get him out of detention, and she fucking flashes a teacher.
She does.
He's just like, no, all right.
Yeah, and you got to figure at least her character is probably. Well, no, she's 18, isn't she?
Yep.
Because they make a big deal in the movie about.
She's 18.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so that's not. It's still terrible. Don't flash your teachers, kids.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, to all the teachers out there in the world, I hope you don't have to deal with that.
Who was it that played Bianca? Because she was a
her-
Nickelodeon
She's
star.
got a real strange name. It's like something like Bialinic or something like that.
Wow, you were going to be closer than any of us think.
It's got Y. It's got a Y in it at the end, and it's like, what is? I don't even know.
Larissa Olenek.
Yeah,
Olenek,
like Kelly Olenek.
she is almost the exact same age as Julia Stiles. She plays the younger sister, but she's like born in the same year as Julia Stiles.
Yeah,
Both of them were born in 1981.
she had a weird career though, because she was like a like a Nickelodeon star, and then she didn't really do anything.
She
after this.
also was on Third Rock.
Yeah, she guested. She was like his girlfriend.
Yeah.
I think maybe even in real life they dated.
Yeah, it might have been.
I know he's married now, but
He's adorable in that movie.
Yeah.
everybody in that movie's pretty adorable.
Yeah,
except the angry jock guy.
The guy who's the model.
Copy paste. She's all that guy.
Here's my underwear look.
Yeah.
This is my swimsuit look.
He's like, I wanted to do something that makes me feel more pensive. I was thinking thoughtful.
He shows her those two pictures, and he's like, "Which one looks better?" And it's exactly the same, but one shirt is black and one shirt is white.
Yeah. That's also got a pretty good blooper reel during the credits, I think.
I don't know if I
because there's a part where it's interesting because all those dance scenes in movies usually don't have the music that accompany it, so it's silent dancing around and stuff like that. So like there's the scene where Joseph Gordon-Levitt, there's a look into the camera, and because he's all sad and everything, and it's at the prom and everything. And you see it, there's no music or anything. It's just him, just like you hear kind of some people dancing around in the back, the click, 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 click of the sound. But then I think David Krumholtz comes up to him and he's like, "You don't need her. We should be the ones to be together or whatever." And he tries to kiss him or whatever. Talking about my friend Billy Joe Bob Shabadoo.
Wait.
Hey,
Billy
Jojo!
Come back!
He's like, Homer, that's the worst name I've ever heard. Oh! Hey, Joey Jojo!
Yeah, man, Whiplash. Every time it's on the TV.
It's
I
good.
don't know why.
It's a good one.
It's just one of those things that knees you in the groin.
And other than the music connection, it's so tonally different from La La Land.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It
Very much.
shows promise for the future for that.
I don't
guy.
know. I'm sure it's going to be brilliant, but are you really looking forward to that Damien Chazelle, Neil Armstrong thing?
Because it's him. If
Yeah.
it was any other director, I wouldn't care that they were making a Neil Armstrong biopic.
Yeah.
And he's going to be he'll probably end up being like some Hydra fucking thing at the end of it. They'll find some way to get DC and Marvel connected somehow.
That'd be all.